What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Mineski Pro Gaming League, the 6th leg, sponsored by Gigabyte Steel Series ViewSonic and the Secret Shop Philippines. Here on HeflaTV 1, I'm Mike Loris. I am joined by Blackadder, and this is game number 2 between First Departure and Rave. Rave currently 1-0. What do you think about that last game, man?
Sum it up with Divine Rapier? No, I think it was fairly good. Could have been a bit more aggressive. Very surgical, though. You look at how Rave played. Sure, they lost a bit of advantage around the 30-minute mark, but they were surgical in their early game and late game approach to it. Maybe refine their mid-game play slightly, but at the end of the day, Rave sort of impressed me with that last one.
Yeah, and hopefully we're going to be seeing a similarly aggressive style from them. Like, they took to the aggressive side a lot sooner than you would really expect with a team that's packing a Medusa, so it's pretty much generally the playstyle of Rave that I've seen so far, especially when Chrissy gets his hands on a Centaur, then things can get very messy, but well, we'll see if First Departure are going to take precautions to prevent that. It looks like for now they're just going to be playing it almost the exact same as they did last time with a Lycan ban, and Rave are also going to be banning out that Naga Siren, so unfortunately Miracle Siren is not on the table this game. I've actually never casted one of those games. It's always been banned.
I have once. It was quite the stellar thing to watch, but the Lycan ban still is an interesting one to me. I mean, a lot of the teams that I've cast frequently since the patch landed have stopped banning the Lycan. What's your opinion on it?
I think the Lycan is not first ban worthy. He's still pickable, but if you slam pick him first, then the enemy team is going to take so many precautions, and he probably won't really get off the ground. So I think he's worthwhile to ban, maybe in the 4th or 5th spot, worthwhile to pick in kind of the same way.
Okay, I can understand that. So he's no longer first ban or pick material then. But Rave will opt to ban at the Brewmaster here. This does, of course, leave First Departure with the question of, do they want to ban the Terrorblade? Now, I'll point this out, in game number 1, we did see the Terrorblade banned in the second banning phase, and it wasn't in the first 4 picks. But the thing that interests me is it going to be a case of Terrorblade this game? Terrorblade lately, very powerful hero, very good split pusher, can still fight.
Yeah, and I actually have seen Jo play the Terrorblade on the Rave side versus First Departure before, so I mean, that's a pretty good selection for Rave if they do want to go for that route, but it's kind of the same thing as Lycan. If you pick up Terrorblade first, there are just so many counters to the hero that First Departure are going to be fine to pick those up and say, okay, you can have your Terrorblade, we're just going to go over here and take the Skywrath Mage and all the burst damage and all the silences, and your Terrorblade is not going to be having a good time. That being said, it's not going to be a Terrorblade first pick, it's actually going to be a Death Prophet picked up first. Still a strong hero, and first pick worthy, do you think? I mean, did get slightly hit with the nerf bat.
Slightly, yes, but I don't think it's anything too major. She still can fight very well in that middle lane. Didn't really nerf her Crypt Swarm. She can just spam that out with Max in Exes and Max in Crypt, and I think it's still going to be very effective, especially in this game. Rave, they're very capable with that Death Prophet, but what are First Departure going to answer with?
Well, I mean, they have been known to kind of run some weird things. In fact, every single time I've seen them play against Rave, they've been running strategies that are more fringe strategies. They haven't really been going with the, classic heroes, the very safe lane assignments and stuff like that. So I think actually, from what I've seen, First Departure are 0-3 versus Rave. So maybe going for these more surprising drafts is going to be beneficial to them, or maybe they just want to back up and pick up something really solid and safe. And speaking of, Skywrath Mage doesn't really get much safer than that.
Indeed, brings a good silence to the table. The Ion Cannon of the Mystic Flare, quite the powerful ability as well, but is it a core Skywrath? You say they do unorthodox things. Could this be a core Skywrath Mage instead of a support?
I want to believe it could be, but it's probably not going to. It, of course, is going to remain to be seen, but I'm not generally a huge fan of core Skywrath Mage unless you build your entire team around it, and that's pretty narrow. So I would like to see the Skywrath Mage being first played as a support, and then if later down the line they want to slide as core, I'm down for that as well, because a quick Rod of Atos on Skywrath Mage, and no one is really safe from that.
Indeed, and it will be a Skywrath Mage Vengeful Spirit. This is a good supporting duo if it is a Skywrath support here. Roaming around, being able to drop the stun into a Mystic Flare. Don't underestimate it. Never underestimate it. But back in Rave's court here, what do they opt for? They've got the Death Prophet. Now they need either some negative armor to go and help that damage of the exorcism, or just sheer physical pushing power. Both are options here.
In the physical pushing power department, I have seen Royer run Korja Hero a couple of times, so I think that hero, plus the fact that Royer can play a good one, is going to make it a pretty appealing one for Rave. The time I've seen it, they've both been core, and it has been devastating every single time, so it is going to be a pretty nice pickup to go along with the Death Prophet, although no, it's going to be a Witch Doctor. It's a great hero to pick up, but generally you see it a little bit later, after you get a little bit of setup for that Death Ward.
Well, setting up for the Death Ward can be perfect, but I'm honestly expecting the higher points into Voodoo Restoration, as well as, of course, the Paralyzing Cast, maybe opt for Maledict a little bit later on in the game. Having the Voodoo Restoration, though, is what you want with the Witch Doctor. He can then prolong a push, keep that momentum flowing, and when you have large momentum behind you, it's very hard for someone like First Departure to come in and stop that, unless we see the likes of maybe an Ancient Apparition. But when you already have what are most likely your first two supports locked in, if you really pick the AA up now, it's going to turn your strategy on its head.
And hopefully they have like contingency plans for that, like assuming they do want to go for the AA or something like that, then they'll have someone who's able to play a Skywrath core. Hopefully that's the case, or otherwise they're just going to be completely hamstringing themselves. It's going to be Razor and Terrorblade, both banned out by Rave. So First Departure, I actually want to see a Legion Commander from them right now, not just because it's an awesome hero to see, but because they have Skywrath Mage and Vengeful Spirit. They're both fantastic counters to Legion Commander, but they also work extremely well with her. So I would like to see that from First Departure. Maybe not in the third pick, but eventually in this game.
And once again, Terrorblade is taken out in the second banning phase. So once more, Rave do not want to see a Terrorblade. But now, as you mentioned, Legion Commander could work out. It's one of the drafts where it is going to be a powerful option. But, and I stress as a big but, if they pick up the Legion Commander, there are still some massive counters in the pool. Likes of, say, you get a good hero that can disarm through, or goes naturally for a Heaven's Halberd. That can completely disrupt a Legion Commander. You could go for something that has some ability to defend, say Pugna. Pugna's pretty good against Legion Commander, because whoever Legion Commander duels, Pugna will decrepify. Or will just decrepify the Legion Commander and then drain all their life away. There are a good few counters to that Legion. That is why she isn't picked up much.
It is always understandable to see that, but First Departure, they're going to go for something a little bit different. They're going to take the Jakiro. I want to say it's partially a ban towards Rave in this picking up the Jakiro, but this is going to be three heroes who are ordinarily considered as support heroes being picked up first for First Departure. This is going to slant their team comp very aggressively, so they're going to want to get early kills and pretty much non-stop, but out of these three, who do you think is actually going to be playing the core role? Because one of them has to.
I have a feeling if any of these heroes playing a core, it'll be the Jakiro. It's more common of late to see a core Jakiro. Liquid Fire, its power is underestimated, honestly, by a lot of teams. The ability to slow down towers by a factor of 50% is a huge thing alone. Then you mix in, say, Ice Path, you mix in Dual Breath, Macro Pyre. It can stop a push dead in its tracks.
And it could annihilate creep waves, and having those dots on your team amplified by the Skywrath Mage seal, it could do a lot of damage. So yeah, I think Jakiro is probably the best hero to have as a core for First Departure. And well, once you pick up that, you generally want to be more on the pushing train, but Rave, okay, they have the Drow Ranger, and I actually like this pick so far. First Departure, they have no one who could actually get in the face of Drow Ranger, with the exception of potentially a Vengeful Spirit swap, but Drow has to be pretty out of position for that to happen, or Vengeful Spirit has to be very high level, neither of which happen very frequently. So this pick from Rave is pretty good, and First Departure, they're going to go for Tinker. So they are going to have a little bit of early game potential, but it's also here that they could fall back on this Tinker.
I can see that, but my problem with Tinker these days, that nerf did hit him fairly hard. It reduced the ability to, well, it neutered the ability to farm Ancients, so he'll no longer be able to get the stacked Ancients and get a burst of gold for Boots of Travels. Also, BKBs, Tinker, BKBs win now. It's something to keep in mind, but what can the Tinker bring to the table? Burst damage. That can annihilate the Witch Doctor, take the Drow Ranger out of play, if the Drow doesn't go for an early BKB or some form of survivability, and can control the game and push all lanes should he get the early travels. But Visage is now the pickup for Rave, so they're going to look to tri-lane. Visage is the tri-lane destroyer or the tri-lane king. He is as good as an Undying in a tri-lane scenario, and the ability to just drop soul assumptions over and over and over again with enough mana can turn a fight. And what is the common ground here for all of the first departure heroes? Low health, low health, low health, and low health. They will die to a soul assumption near enough.
And they also actually do some pretty good damage as well. So no matter what, the soul assumption meter is going to be filled up pretty quickly. And Rave, of course, they do have later on the combination of Visage Familiars with Drow Ranger's Aura, which is, of course, going to tear through the first departure team comp. And, oh man, I don't really know what first departure can pick up to really tie all of this drafting together. I have a feeling it's going to be, again, one of those weirder fringe heroes, but for Rave, I think picking up someone like a Viper could be just a very simple, very safe pick for them. It's a hero that benefits a lot from the Drow Ranger aura, but it's also a tanky body on the front lines. Between that and Death Prophet, you have to keep the Drow Ranger safe somehow. First departure, they need a blinker or someone who can get right into the face of Drow, but with a Tinker and Core Jakiro, or in theory Core Jakiro, who is going to be soloing a lane that is going to be getting a Blink Dagger that could punish this Drow Ranger?
Well, you could opt for, well, Centaur being banned out, you could opt for a Tidehunter. Tidehunter can do the job. He can then also build into, say, Shiva's Guard or something should he get the gold required to do so, but I am honestly not sure what else they could opt for here. A Clockwork could equally work. That would also have the ability of coming in to disrupt, say, a Witch Doctor Death Ward or a Death Prophet locker down so the Tinker can get in on top of him with the Laser Rockets combo. But part of me wonders, yeah, if we're not going to see the Titan, the negative armor, the negative resistances will be enough to skew these numbers in favor of first departure. And when I see an Elder Titan, suddenly I start thinking core Skywrath Mage.
Well, both of those heroes, Skywrath Mage Core and Jakiro Core, benefit a lot from the extra magical damage. Like, one way or another, they're going to be dealing a lot of damage. And well, we mentioned how soft First Departure are just as a team. Rave, they're pretty soft as well. Gravekeeper's Cloak is great. Death Prophet eventually will get tanky, but for the early stages, First Departure, they have a lot of burst. Really, both sides have a ton of burst. And Omni Knight, that's not the hero I was really expecting from Rave, but if you know you're going to be facing up against this much magic damage in Jakiro, Skywrath Mage, Elder Titan Amplification, then suddenly Repel gets really, really good.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. I mean, I wasn't expecting the Omni Knight, and I was looking for an offlaner that can play aggressively for Rave. I was thinking maybe they would go for the Tidehunter themselves. That will give Drow the ability to just stand there and rain arrows down from above. But the Omni, what can he bring to the table? The ability to chase in with that aura. The, I can't even think of the name of the aura right now. That's pretty bad of me.
Degen.
Degen aura, yes. Be able to chase down with a Degen aura. Be able to drop those all-important heals. I mean, just an idea occurred to me right now. Can you heal a Visage Familiar? Or are they regarded as immune? Because if you can...
I'm pretty sure you can't, but I don't play Visage or Omni Knight enough to really know. I'm pretty sure they're just not going to be hit by that, unless there's been some changes to... I know there's been changes for like how things work with magic immunity and damage assignments, stuff like that, so that might have been changed, but as far as I know, it's not a combo.
Well, it is just something that occurred to me. I don't think it works either, but I'm not 100%. So the idea was, say, drop a familiar on someone's head and heal the familiar. Do a lot of pure damage without a hero that needs to, per se, get close. But when it comes around to putting my money on a team, I'm once again going to put my money on Rave. While they've got an unorthodox draft, I like their draft a bit better. They have high potential to get some alpha up. The alpha damage will be able to shred through these low health heroes of First Departure. Whereas First Departure, they need at least 20 minutes on that Tinker for him to start getting those big items up. Travels, Blink Dagger, Dagon, look to burst down maybe the Death Prophet, maybe the Drow Ranger. Still, you do have to keep in mind Repel. Repel will be a big problem for the Tinker, and so will the Visage, since you can't really burst a Visage down per se with a Tinker because of Gravekeeper's Cloak. The way Gravekeeper's Cloak works will basically render him immune to, say, a burst combo of a Tinker.
Yeah, I think once again, or I think this game, I'm going to agree with you in saying that Rave do have a slightly better combination. Even though this game isn't really going to be a Guardian Angel game, like First Departure don't really have much right-click damage at all. Maybe eventually someone will be doing some damage like Elder Titan, but Guardian Angel, even though it's not going to get much value, the value that Omnight gets out of Repel and Purification is going to be so high that it's going to overcome the fact that he doesn't exactly have the best ultimate in this game. In First Departure, they have a lot of burst damage, but they need, again, as you said, a lot of time on this Tinker to actually get things off of the ground. They have to have their lanes go very well, and up against the damage that Rave are putting out, it's going to be almost a coin flip, so after that coin flip, I say Rave have a better chance of recovering. That being said, we're going to be seeing where Rave are going to be sending their heroes. Chrissy is going to be taking the Omnight up top, and he's going to be loading out with boots first, so survivability, of course, the main concern for that Omnight. Over in the mid lane, it is going to be Royer playing the Death Prophet solo. Jo is going to be handling the farming Drow Ranger down bottom, supported by Cast on his Witch Doctor and Ninja Boogie on the Visage. And I'd just like to quickly point out how annoying it is for Cast to be throwing casks. It's going to be terrible.
Well, at least it's not as bad as, say, Nyx and Nakes in the same game. There are a couple of other nightmare scenarios I've had in the past, but those are stories for another time. Of course, on the flip side of this coin, for First Departure, we've got KS handling that Tinker, Kai on the Elder Titan, and he's going to find Chrissy here. Might throw a few right clicks his way if he can catch up, but should be relatively safe. You do have, of course, Lubby on that Skywrath Mage. Over in the mid lane, you have Mikasa, which is Miracle on the Vengeful Spirit, who's mid lane vengeful? Okay, we could be looking for something really weird in this game. And finally, we do have Daffer, who's handling the Jakiro. He's going to be on the off lane, and honestly, I expect big things from Daffer. He, as an offlaner in general, can do a lot of good work.
So I think neither of us expected the core Vengeful Spirit out of this. She is a good, or an okay hero to have run as a core, but this means that there's going to be an Elder Titan support, and looks like they're going to set up on Royer very early on. There is an Observer Ward, so they do know that the Elder Titan is potentially in the area, but a Magic Missile into just right clicks can bring this Death Prophet pretty low, and if they do manage to bring her down somehow, then her bottle is going to be extremely delayed. Mikasa, Miracle, doesn't even have a level up, so it looks like Lubby's going to be chilling for now. There's the Arcane shots and the Bolt as well. Rory's going to take quite a bit of damage. Is going to be enough. It will be enough, in fact. Mikasa just draws level 2 off of the creeps. That will seal the deal, and First Blood going the way of Miracle's Vengeful Spirit. Not bad.
Indeed, he actually got the kill there with a Wave of Terror, which only does 30 damage at level 1, so that's how close it was. Getting in that tree line, he would have been completely fine. He survived the Arcane Bolt, but just couldn't get away before a Miracle hit level 2. We apparently have some more lag issues. Unfortunately, the Southeast Asian servers have been a little bit rocky in the last few hours, and hopefully we'll be back underway as soon as humanly possible.
Well, either way, that's going to be Royer down. That means he's going to be forced to buy a TP scroll and get back into this lane. It's a little bit longer where the Death Prophet does not have a bottle, and every single moment that passes where DP doesn't have that bottle is more health and more sustain for Miracle on the other end. But you know, after that First Blood, I wanted to mention that Elder Titan is going to be played as support in this game. It's a very rare thing to see Elder Titan support. He's pretty much going to be playing kind of like a pure damage Sand King in that he can't really do anything, do much in lane without a whole lot of help. He's mostly going to just be sitting in the jungle. Even if he does get a little bit of farm up, really what he wants to do is get levels, and this is why we don't see Elder Titan as a support that much. What do you think about this hero and the way First Departure are going to be laning him or not laning him?
I've actually seen this kind of play of an Elder Titan a few more times since the patches hit. I think I've seen it twice more in a best of 3 that I was casting with Coucher the other day. But the way this works, he'll come into a lane, he'll drop his spirit, bring it back in as quick as possible, and come in and try to go for a few right clicks. The idea is simple. He wants to play aggressively, punch as much as possible, get in the enemy's face. The downside to this, Rave have the ability to kite this one out. They've got the Paralyzing Cask, they've got Degen Aura, as well as Grave Chill from the Visage. And that's before we even mention Frost Arrows. There's enough ability to kite around Kai that I don't think it's going to work in this game. I've seen it work, and I've seen it win, but I don't think it'll work against this lineup specifically.
Of course, having the Elder Titan in this support role means that Jakiro is going to be played as a core, so both core Venge and core Jakiro. I mean, Jakiro's going to do just fine versus the Drow Ranger. In fact, I think Jakiro might even have a slight lead in this game, just being able to spam out all of his skills, and the fact that JO's Drow Ranger is just such a soft hero inherently. Drow Ranger Jar Ranger is going to be applying some pressure to Dafa. Dafa's going to be applying pressure right back, but definitely is having a much better time, I think, than the Elder Titan would have, at least in between Spirit casts. But either way, the bottom lane is going to be, for the most part, a standstill. I don't expect either of these two heroes to get a kill on one another. It's going to be top lane and potentially even mid lane where we see the action, as Miracle is rather low, and he's going to turn around and... What the hell was that? That was not a good idea.
I think we're just going to have to say mistakes were made. I'm guessing he was just misjudging the amount of damage he could put out with the Crypt Swarm, which, sure, it happens to the best of us, so we'll just roll with that. In the meantime, you do have Miracle going to come back in, does have his bottle now, and he's just going to look to sustain as much as he can on this wave. He is actually leveling up his Wave of Terror over Magic Missile, which does mean looking for that physical right-click, looking just for amplification. Who really can make use of high negative armor on First Departure's lineup? They really feel like a much more magic-oriented group to me than, say, looking for high negative armor of Wave of Terror in this game. I mean, if they had the likes of, say, a Slada or the Drow themselves, I could understand maxing Wave of Terror first, but I'm not sure in this one.
Yeah, they don't really have that much physical damage. Their right clicks are pretty much going to be an afterthought after all of their magic burst damage is out. Maybe Elder Titan is going to be doing a little bit of damage at some points in this game, but I mean, he's not really going to get that much experience. In fact, he's only level 1, so any right click damage the Elder Titan does put out is going to be extremely limited. So ordinarily, this is a fairly standard way to go for Vengeful Spirit, prioritizing Wave of Terror, only getting 1 point Magic Missile just for setup purposes. But that's when you're playing a support Vengeful Spirit. And
Maledict actually landed on KS here. He could be in a lot of trouble, but they don't have the point in Degen Aura up high enough yet to be able to kill the Tinker.
Right, so Tinker gets to survive, and pretty much for First Departure, the worst case scenario is Tinker dying. Like, they're fine with losing any other of their heroes, but Tinker's the one that needs to save time. That's why they put him in the safe lane. That's why they're trying to get him his farm, but his farm, although it's okay, it's certainly nothing to write home about. I've seen so many other heroes getting so much more farm. In fact, Omnite has more CS than the Tinker. This is actually not going well for First Departure, even though it's only 3-4 minutes into the game.
Indeed, they need more on this Tinker. I cannot stress enough what happens if this Tinker will fail. Rave will just snowball and dominate if they can control the early game. KS needs his early travels. He needs those travels online before the 11-minute mark. He's online for getting them now for about maybe the 8 or 9-minute mark, but he needs to maintain or improve on this level of farm. And you got to remember that he's up against an Omni Knight and a Witch Doctor. They have the ability to kill him. In fact, they're going to try it again. They drop the damage on him. Maledict unfortunately misses, but he does get hit with the Purification. A couple more right clicks could bring him down, but they don't want to dive under the tower necessarily.
KS is actually going for 3 points laser, and that's it, even though he's level 5. They're going to now go for Kai. They have another Purification soon enough, and this phase boost from the Omni Knight doing some pretty heavy damage. This might be a kill. In fact, it will be. Omni Knight will get the kill on the Elder Titan. Now KS wrapping around for some reason. 2 points in March on the laser onto cast. This will bring down the Witch Doctor, but now KS caught in the Degen Aura is also going to go down. That was most certainly not worth it for the Tinker. I really don't know why he did that, but it wasn't a good idea. Rave, they lose their support Witch Doctor. It's going to be completely okay for them to do so, but Royer in the mid lane might be in a little trouble as Miracle's doing some pretty heavy damage. He will get the kill off of Magic Missile. Vengeful Spirit making some pretty big plays by herself in the middle lane, but at the same time, bottom lane, it's going to be Ninja Boogie wrapping around for Jakiro. Elder Titan is going to get the revenge kill there. Is there anyone else who wants to die, or are we done with that for now?
I think we're looking for a 3-lane aggressive game. I mean, when you draft what is effectively 5 spell damage heroes for First Departure, you're going to look for an aggressive one. But Chrissy going aggressive once more, looking for Lubby. 2 more right clicks will do the job. And another kill going the way of the Omni Knight. And he's going to TP out safely. There's no laser from KS. And as we stand, this is going to be a battle knight. This is not a support. This is not a healing Omni Knight. He is there to kick ass at the end of the day. He even has his soul ring now, so he's looking for the ability to come in and heal. But fights are still going on. We lose the Vengeful Spirit in the mid lane. Can we get a counter kill from Lubby? In comes the Grave Chill and the turnaround. The damage is just too much, and Ryo will pick up the double kill. Anyone else want to die now?
This game is just a mess. I mean, kills happening left and right. Usually when you get a solo kill on the enemy lane, then you're not going to be turned around and getting killed right back. They're going to go for KS once again up on top lane. Laser onto cast, not quite enough to bring him down. Purification, though, forced out from Chrissy onto Hero, not offensively. That's going to mean that KS gets to live, and Chrissy now being chased down by Miracle, Degen Aura, making it a pain in the ass for him to actually get away from this one. Regardless, the Magic Missile does land KS. He has another laser. There's the kill on the Omni Knight. Now Cast is in a little bit of a precarious situation. Swap back onto him, and the right-click damage should be enough. That's 2 kills up on top lane, and Vengeful Spirit, first rotation of the game, I believe, and that was a pretty damn good one.
Well, this proves it. Mid-venge works, ladies and gentlemen, and it just helped get that Tinker 2 kills. So at the end of the day, this is absolutely brilliant. But Elder Titan will bring down the Drow Ranger on the bottom lane with help from Daffa. So we're still looking for fights across 3 lanes. This is going to be aggressive throughout the game, and we're over 2 kills a minute right now. But they want more. They're going to go on Ryo in the mid lane. Miracle may die for this one, but in comes the defensive TP from Ninja Boogie. That's going to force back Miracle, and he can't commit to that, not this time around. I'm sort of wondering what kind of item build we're seeing from Miracle here. He's gone double Bracer Wraith Band. So he just wants survivability and damage. So is this the kind of game where we see a build similar to, say, a Nature's Prophet and see a Blade Mail come up next?
I don't know about that. I'm always on the fence of Blade Mail. They're going to swap back Royer, get the silence on him, Magic Missile as well. The Maledict does land onto Miracle, and the damage isn't quite there. And now with the Maledict, he might actually go down to this one. Only level 1, but he's still taking a lot of damage. Bottling up, he will be fine as Lubby's now being chased down by Cast. He's going to turn things around with the help of the Elder Titan, put a little bit more damage in Cast, but still nothing that'll really stick. This time, no one's going to go down unless the Elder Titan Spirit finds the Death Prophet, which it won't. Yeah, Miracle's build is kind of weird. You ordinarily see 2 bracers on like pure support heroes. Obviously, he's not being played as such. Going for Blade Mail might just be the most cost-effective way for him to go, as KS on top lane is going to be initiated upon by Chrissy. The repel is up, and he's going to chase this Tinker down. I don't think Tinker has a way of escaping this one. Yeah, the heal.
No, he doesn't.
Do it.
Oh, this is just brilliant to see. It's very rare to see an Omni Knight played in this style, and with the new way that Tinker can't damage through magic immunity, it's just crushing the Tinker. This is unorthodox to an extreme, but still, it's working. And when unorthodox works, it can be considered genius and not insanity. But we've still got Daffa farming up. There's a good amount of damage being thrown into Chrissy this time. Kai trying to get involved, but that's going to be another kill going the way of the Omni Knight. And can he go for Lubby? Thinking about it, but no. Chrissy's going to TP out, wants to get the hell out of dodge, and now has a drum of endurance available. The right click of the Omni Knight is going to start to add up.
Middle lane, Miracle already used his swap onto Royer. Unfortunately for him, Death Prophet is really quick with maxed out Witchcraft, and he's going to have to let that one go. But yeah, this Omni Knight is going to be going for pretty much the most smash-heavy build you could ever see. Surprised to not see an Orb of Venom on this guy, but maybe he'll pick it up a little bit later. I mean, with the phase boots and the drum movement speed, getting that Orb of Venom additional slow is really the real deal, especially with the Degen Aura. So he'll be able to stick on targets and pretty much never ever let up. It might be a Sanjin Yasha coming out from Chrissy. I feel like if you're going to be playing this aggressively, then that's only the logical item to go for. Regardless, this Omni Knight, I said before, he's going to be not getting much value out of Guardian Angel, but all of his other skills are going to be the real deal. I'm pretty sure that has been now very clearly shown. This Omni Knight is being the most aggressive Omni Knight I have pretty much ever seen. Maybe even a Blink Dagger on him. I've seen that before, and it has worked in the past.
Other ones that I've seen on an Omni Knight for a Battle Knight, Radiance and Skadi. Not in a pro game, mind you, but you can't escape from that. And they're going to go aggressive onto Daffa. If they can bring him down, that's going to be huge. And we got to remember, the Drow Ranger has been farming up very well throughout all of this. She's even got a Midas now. And Jo, if he can maintain this kind of farm, that's going to be absolutely golden for him. But I do hear a Tinker nearby with Travels now. So something else to keep on our minds. But looking for Jo, can they finish him off? Not quite. He does get magic immunity. Going to give him enough time to get out. Can he TP out in time? Yes, he can. Can't quite get hit with that anvil of Kai. But now we get the potential for a turnaround. Can they bring down KS with that cast bouncing around? Yes, they damn well can. Cast from cast, it gets the kill. But they will lose their visage for this. And can they get cast as well? That would be absolutely perfect. It'll be a 2-for-1 trade for first departure.
It'll actually be 3-for-1 as Miracle gets yet another solo kill on this Death Prophet. I don't know how he's making these kills happen. I gotta say a part of it is the Death Prophet not respecting the Vengeful Spirit's damage output enough. Chrissy on the bottom lane is now going to go strong onto Daffa. He's going very quickly. Purification Bomb is going to drop him very low. Dodge the Echo Stomp as well, but now he's running out of gas. He's getting with a dual breath, and this is going to be Chrissy's death. A little bit too over-aggressive, and Jakiro, as far as the anti-heroes go, is relatively tanky, so he'll be able to survive that one. But really, on the bottom lane dive on the tier 2, a lot of that had to do with the fact that KS does in fact have Marching Machines maxed out, and even though it has been nerfed in how it behaves, it still does its insane amount of damage, especially if you're a really soft support hero. So Rave, they have to respect that potential for first departure, because Tinker has his travels up. It's a pretty decent timing, especially considering his circumstances. So this Tinker is very slowly going to start to get to the point where he's going to be doing tinkery things all around the map. That being said, Rave have, again, so many tools to deal with this, so it's going to be a manageable situation for Rave, as they do get a tower denial on bottom with just one familiar. Well played by Ninja Boogie.
Yep, and if they can keep maintaining these denies and towers, that's going to be, again, perfect. But KS will go up to the top lane, as you mentioned, tinkering about and forcing a TP away from the Drow Ranger. But where's the next set of fights coming from? We've got such a fight-heavy game. I'm just waiting for the next. Ryo, got to be careful in that mid lane. I mean, Miracle has been threatening on this Vengeful Spirit the entire game, and now he has himself a DD rune. So what Miracle already had in spades, which is damage, now gets added to as well, potentially, with that rune. And if we look for that combination of the negative armor of the Wave of Terror, of course, at -6 now, considering it's rank 4, as well as Magic Missile, of course, they can easily kill off anyone that they catch, especially with that swap. And they could look for Cast here. If they can bring Cast down and stop him getting a Death Ward off, that can work out quite nicely. And speaking of Death Ward, he's about to hit his level 6 and get that up at 12 minutes, 30 seconds-ish.
Keeping my eye on a Miracle. He's playing a dangerous game over in this mid lane. At the same time, top is being pushed, although Crypt Swarm is going to pull the aggro off of that. And even though Liquid Fire is pretty good, it needs a little bit of creep support. So they're going to chip away at the tower and might get it eventually. But Vengeful Spirit is at the crucial mark where she's level 11. Now she has a Blink Dagger. Okay, Jay, we got to watch your ass, because here comes Miracle. He's going to mess up his first one. Now he's going to hit with the cast, and Jayo's actually going to get swapped out regardless, but the Death Ward is there. Miracle's dropping very low. We'll get the kill on the Witch Doctor. Jayo's still dropping very low as well. That's going to be 2. Courier's in the area, and Ninja Boogie's going to try to go for Lovey, as Lovey's wants one more hit on the Courier. Not going to be enough, 30 HP. Now the Omni Knight comes in as well, as Kai's dropping very low. KS in the background just firing off missiles where he can, but first departure, that was supposed to be a surprise initiation on the Drow Ranger, and they did kill her off, but that was just really messy. The Vengeful Spirit messed up with the high ground nighttime vision.
Yeah, that was the downside of that initial blink in. He was just outside of the hill there on the mid lane and couldn't get that blink off in time, unfortunately. But where we stand right now, let's take a quick look at the graph, shall we, for the first time in this game. We're 14 minutes in, and that's only a 3k gold lead towards Rave. This is mostly off the back of Chrissy, though. Experience-wise, that is a spiky graph, and it's nearly a 1,500 experience lead the way of Rave as well. But Chrissy, he's going to start getting more aggressive once more. Cast will go down just to rockets and the damage of Kai, and there's only so much Chrissy can do with that repel, unfortunately. Going to at least force back the Elder Titan with that last purification. This is the problem here for Chrissy. He's run out of mana once again. He's got a Soul Ring in 8 seconds, and he can't hold this on his own anymore.
He's going to need to spam out a lot more. He's holding on to a ton of gold, though, so potentially he's going to be going for something that helps him a little bit down the line. This point booster is not for him, so it's not going to be an Aghanims on the Omni Knight. I don't think this is an Aghanims Omni Knight game, so most likely will not be seeing that at all this game. And even though the graphs are relatively even for 14 minutes into the game, first departure, they're still supposed to be working with an advantage at this stage. When you run a core Jakiro and when you run a core Vengeful Spirit, you expect to be vastly far ahead. Simply not the case. Miracle and Lubby, they're both going to partner up and try to look for someone. Chrissy, though, is in Repel, so he's going to be pretty comfortable with going aggressive onto these heroes. Scarith Mage, he's fast enough to dodge away from the Omni Knight for now, although he's still chasing forward. Miracle's going to blink forward. Now the Magic Missile as well as the Mystic Flare. There goes the Omni Knight, but Lubby's still being pressured by these familiars, and Jayo coming around from the side as well. That's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. A core for support, though, so first departure, they have to be okay with how that went, especially if they get this mid lane tier 1 tower, which they will. Fortification will delay it, but it will go down in the end.
Well, being able to get that extra kill, get the tower, going to help first departure out, but you still have to consider, this entire game, Jayo has just been farming. Throws a silence onto KS, and he's going to TP out himself. He's almost got a Mask of Madness drow. And when that Mask of Madness comes online, the damage is going to be staggering coming out of Jayo. But now, Ninja Boogie, caught in a bad situation, will go down just to the right clicks of Kai Miracle. You also do have Dafa threatening as well. And could we see a push starting on this bottom lane, I wonder?
I think that should be the order of business. Miracle has been using his swap so freely, and pretty much every single time he's used it, he's gotten a kill, maybe with like 80% success rate. It is level 2, which is a crucial upgrade from the level 1 swap, and with the swap and the blink dagger, it's just so hard for Rave to stay in safe positioning because the initiation range of First Departure is absolutely insane with this Vengeful Spirit. So Miracle is, being playing the hero very well. 733 is pretty much all you could ask for from a core Vengeful Spirit. In fact, on the top of the net worth chart, the only question is, what does she do when this swap into damage combo starts to fall off? Is she going to go for more damage so that it doesn't fall off, or is she more concerned about her survivability? Maybe 2 bracers is good enough for Vengeful Spirit to survive. Maybe it's not going to be, especially with this damage coming out from the Drow Ranger. Her aura is giving everyone plus 39, and it's a lot of damage coming out from just Jo by himself, who's been pretty much just farming, as you said.
Well, this is what I was wondering about the double bracer build. I mean, we saw double bracer Wraith Band. The Wraith Band turned into an Aquila. Maybe 1 bracer into a drum could have worked slightly better. The double bracer, sure, gives you more stats immediately, but as you mentioned, the Vengeful Spirit will fall off in my mind unless we see the likes of pure damage coming out of her. What could we see from that, though? Yasha, Manta, you could see late game Butterfly, but you need something to help you with the right click. Otherwise, you will just fall off far too quickly. Survivability alone will not cut it. They cannot play a long, sustained, drawn-out fight, in all honesty. I mean, they have Ion Cannon, which eats so much of the Skywrath Mage's mana from the Mystic Flare, for example. You can't really sustain a long teamfight when you have these spells that cost nearly half, if not more, of your mana pool. The only one that can really sustain in a long fight is KS, and he's suffering at the hands of both Chrissy as well as, of course, the Visage of Ninja Boogie. The Visage Familiars being the one doing the main work there.
Well, it looks like Miracle is going to answer our question somewhat, as he does turn one of those bracers into a drum. Maybe he's going to go for something like a Desolator, get full on aboard the minus armor train, even though they don't really have the heroes to really make advantage of that. If you get enough minus armor, you'll be able to kill people regardless. They're now going to smoke up and look to initiate on the middle lane, where the Death Prophet is going to be teleporting straight in. The swap is available, and just take a quick look at the range. That's the effective initiation range of just the swap from Miracle. The rest of the Rave heroes, though, they are pretty well tucked away. But there are 5 heroes from First Departure in this middle lane. They're a little bit spread out, but if Rave want to show their faces, then they will get crushed. Also, Death Prophet has actually gone for Hand of Midas, so this is 2 Midases working in favor of Rave, plus a Blink Dagger on the Omni Knight. This is going to be a straight push from First Departure. This is going to be a little bit dangerous. They're going to throw the Ice Path first. Royer is going to get repelled up and keep spamming out those Crypt Swarms, and I don't think First Departure have enough sustain for this. They have a mech on the Jakiro, which is really nice, but that's about it. In the meantime, bottom lane is being pushed, so yeah, they probably can't get anything done here.
And with 2,500, well, 2.2k gold as well for Jo, what's he going to work for? Because we could actually see Blink Dagger Drow, and that's exactly the order of business here. So looking just for that aggressive fight kind of initiation from Rave, this could be something spectacular.
Well, we'll see if it is in fact spectacular. As still in the middle lane, everyone from First Departure, they're just playing this very, very patient game. As patient as they may be, still in the bottom lane, it's pushing. Top lane, it is eventually going to be pushed back, as the Tinker is going to be on, he has that job to do. They can't get anything done, and First Departure, whenever they can't be aggressive, that means they're not doing anything, really. They're going to get KS stomped once on the bottom lane. Second Familiar is there as well, but they see Ninja Boogie. The stomp is not going to be cast, in fact, by Kai, and it looks like that should be it over on bottom, yet still on the middle lane. Miracle just perched, just waiting for someone, but now it's a 2v4 over in the middle lane. So First Departure, right now, they're just getting outmaneuvered. Everyone from Ravers is just dodging everything and being exactly where First Departure do not want Rave to be. Swap back, it's going to catch Chrissy, but instantly the blink out. And now the Death Ward being channeled onto mostly Miracle. However, he is very tanky, as we said before. There's the stomp onto 2. It's only level 1, though. Because of the support Titan, he doesn't have that many levels. Everything is being spammed out, but nothing is actually going to get done here.
No, this is the big problem, though. They used the Death Ward and they couldn't lock down the enemy long enough. And, well, the Death Ward, it felt like it tickled Miracle more than damaged him at the end of the day. But we do have some big items coming now up for Rave. They have the Yules for the Death Prophet, so they can start looking to get pickoffs with that, perhaps. Start using and abusing that movement speed with, say, Exorcism, bringing down some towers, possibly. But I'm wondering what we could see out of First Departure in terms of, say, response. For Kai, he's continuing to farm up. I don't know what he's going to buy on the Elder Titan. He's got a few options to him, but I am honestly not sure. Part of me wants to think he's going to play the mid to late game style and look for maybe a Shiva's Guard or an AC. I mean, a Blink Dagger on the Elder Titan doesn't really make all that much sense to me.
Yeah,
and he's still just saving gold, so any thoughts?
I think going for a more expensive item is probably good on this Elder Titan. Have him play the support role at first and then transition over Midas. So I guess we're right. He is going to go for the late game items, just not yet. It looks like First Departure are going to be willing to take this one late. I mean, Tinker late is very nice. Vengeful Spirit late game is not exactly the best hero in the world, especially when she's running into 3 heroes like this. She will be fine. This is a late Midas, though, a very late Midas, and this is one that is going to be facing up against 2 from Rave. So even though this is going to help the Elder Titan secure some items down the line, he's already so far behind that it might not even be worth it to get this item.
And we do have a couple of other big items up for First Departure now. They do have that Dagon one on the Tinker, so he does have that burst damage potential. But Jo needs to respect that. He might actually get caught out of position here if he's not careful. He's just going to blink into the tree line and start TPing out. The way he's playing the Drow Ranger, it honestly makes me think more of a Clinks, considering I would expect that to be built into a Mask of Madness, knowing Jo, and look off that maybe for some form of high damage, maybe MKB, maybe even BKB, considering how much magical damage he's against. Then again, there is Repel for the team, so there is some flexibility in what item he could go for. I mean, there's also Butterfly, but that, again, is a very late-game item, and to me, Rave have an early advantage. Why not just fight early and get into the enemy's face? First Departure are having to go late game. They need this Tinker to do more. Punish the Tinker, punish the lineup, and start forcing towers is what hits my mind logically.
And the immortal words of Tastosis, when you're ahead, get more ahead, and I think Rave are going to be doing that by playing super aggressive. They're going to catch Miracle, and this time he's going to drop very, very low. He will be brought down in the end by the Witch Doctor. Still the Ice Path in, Macropyre are out, but Jo off to the side is going to snipe off Lubby, or almost snipe off Lubby, but in the meantime, Elder Titan has killed off a couple, Tinker killing off the Death Prophet, now Kai on the run from Familiars. Fight being a lot more scattered than I really would have expected. Jo not getting anything, in fact. He's now going to be, well, safe as he does blink out, but KS wants to chase this one. Overall, it is a 1-for-2 trade. Rave, they lost a lot more than I really would have expected. Death Prophet, not that durable, as KS now going to run straight into Jo. Dragon Blast is there. He's going to try to TP out. Nothing can interrupt this, and he will be fine to stick the landing. First Departure take a much better fight than I really would have expected, though they do use a buyback on Vengeful Spirit. But she was the one being caught out, so having her being the only casualty is not too terrible. Especially if they get a little bit more. They're looking for a swap, I'm sure. Chrissy's, though, repelled up, and you can't do anything versus this Omni Knight when he's repelled.
No, he's trying to threaten, but they're just ignoring him and throwing some damage into the tier 2, which is the right approach. Ignore the Omni when he's not a threat. Take the objective. Objective gaming exists for a reason, but now in comes the aggressive TP from that Death Prophet onto the destroyed tower. The Magic Missile will come through, does land. Ice Path, think about it as well, but no. Repel goes out into Ryo, and that's going to buy enough time for them to get their feet under them once again. I'm honestly thinking, though, if First Departure can maintain this kind of aggression and start getting towers, the First Departure might even take this in the late game. They're starting to evolve into the kind of fight that they need, the burst kind of fight. You focus whoever the Omni Knight hasn't repelled. So if Omni Knight repels himself, kill the Drow. If he repels the Drow, kill the Death Prophet. Take out whoever's got the highest damage on the field that isn't repelled.
And I think with their amount of burst damage, especially with this Tinker packing the Dagon, and he's going to be working towards the Ethereal Blade, he will be able to pretty much 100 to 0 most of the heroes on Rave, assuming no repel or no Omni Knight intervention. So the damage on First Departure is still incredibly high. We have to remember that there is a natural order amplification, there is minus armor from the Vengeful Spirit, there is amplification of magic damage from the Skywrath Mage. So many tools from First Departure in order to make sure that all their skills do more damage. It's effectively going to extend the effectiveness of their team composition by another, what, 10-20 minutes. So though ordinarily I would say First Departure at this point, they're pretty much peaked as far as their strength. They have so much amplification, they could get away with so much more. Especially if Miracle is going to be going for a Diffusal Blade. So suddenly Omni Knight is not going to be the end-all in Rave's safety, as Vengeful Spirit, it's not exactly the damagey item I really would have expected, but, you know, getting a Diffusal Blade on someone in order to deal with an Omni Knight is always going to be worthwhile.
Complete agreement there, but On the flip side of this coin, Rave, they do have that smoke. They're looking for Roshan. If they bring down Roshan, that's absolutely golden. And Roshan will fall very quickly. It is, however, scouted out by the Elder Titan. Stomp comes through, does catch on two, but where is the damage to come in? They try to bring down Chrissy. KS in the back of the fight, though. He's going to get isolated if he's not careful. The damage from the Exorcism is still adding up, but in comes Kai, in comes the Macropire. They have more than enough to take this fight if they want, and Jo almost goes down. In fact, he does. Forces the Aegis already. And that's 4 kills. 1 buyback coming out of Rave. They force the Aegis. Now they're going to try to bring down Ninja Boogie once more and Jo. That's a full 5-man wipe at the end of the day, the way of the first departure. But Chrissy comes back in. He wants to at least get 1 counter kill. Trying to bring down Kai. 1 more right click will get that at least. So at the end, it's a 5 for 2. There is that buyback as well. They could go for more. They could focus Lubby here, but he needs another repel. If he gets repel up once more, he's probably going to fight again. And thinking about it, getting in the position for it, the Ancient Seal goes down, heals himself up, repel on himself. Who's he going to chase? He's going to go for Lubby with the backup of those familiars, and he just cannot escape. Chrissy and the familiars doing work.
Oh man, Omni Knight's gonna even go for more. He blinks forward, gonna catch Doff with the familiar still in the area, adding a little bit amounts of damage. 1 stomp is going to miss, second one is going to be deployed, and Chrissy is going to clean up this fight. It looks so great for first departure if they just managed to back off, but they felt like they could take out this Omni Knight, and they were not correct. Omni Knight just went to town. That was a 5 for 4 with a buyback on the Omni Knight. It should have been a 5 for 2 though. So first departure, still it's a great fight for them in the end, but Omni Knight is, you have to respect this hero. He is going to beat you down, especially if you're those very, very soft supports. Now that being said, Rave, they were taking an extremely high risk by going for that Roshan. Going to Roshan pit against a Tinker, against a Jakiro, all amplified by an Elder Titan, is incredibly dangerous, and we saw exactly why. And they don't get away with the Aegis. They actually end up losing it, using it, and then dying once again. So all in all, first departure, it's a decent enough fight for them, but this Omni Knight, man, just this Omni Knight.
Of all the things I thought I would see in this game, I didn't think I'd see an Omni Knight be this aggressive, for lack of a better word. Well, it's a battle knight at the end of the day. He is going for an Aghanims. So Aghanim's upgrade, of course, increases the duration of his Guardian Angel to 10 seconds, and it is global, even affecting buildings. So the buildings will also gain the 25 health a second regeneration while it's up as well. So you do get that extra perk. But is this really the right choice? I was honestly maybe expecting a Basher, considering Battle Knight, a way of interrupting TPs.
Yeah, it's a Basher, or I was thinking an Assault Cuirass for this guy would have been absolutely fantastic. I mentioned Sanjin Yasha before. Aghanims is definitely the support item to get on the Omni Knight. That's what we usually see from Omni Knights. They just go for the Aghanims, the rare times that they are picked up, and they're not being played in the super aggressive role, of course. But that being said, it's a nice item on Omni Knight in general, but I would like to see Rave just turn on the aggression. Going for Roshan like that is probably not the best way of doing so. Royer's going to catch Miracle up in the air, force out a TP. That will be that over on the top lane. But yeah, the Omni Knight build, I think it could be a lot more aggressive. He's getting hit with the Magic Missile, but at this point, Vengeful Spirit isn't actually doing that much damage. Dragon Blast from KS, he's going to get silenced. Now he's going to get things turned around. Ghost Scepter is going to keep him safe. However, it will not dodge the Frost effect as the arrow was already in the air. And that is going to be that. But over on bottom lane, Chaos erupts as Dafa is barely going to escape by the skin of his dragon teeth. And they're still going to go for more as Kai is going to try to get Cass. He's going to be chased down for familiars, and Kai is now doomed to die. Cass is going to try to TP out, but the damage. Magic Seal, Ancient Seal amplified by the amplifying the Dagon, and KS now going to be fighting up with the familiars who have already taken down the friendly Skywrath Mage. Again, 1 base armor versus the familiars, amplified by the Drow Aura. That's plus 49 per shot. And first departure, they have to respect these familiars as well. It's going to be a 2 for 2 over on the bottom lane. All the supports just going to town on each other. Familiars might die as well, though, which is going to be a very nice win for first departure. If they can get it, they can't.
They actually did kill off one of the familiars with KS just right-clicking away. This is the nice thing about this new patch, though. March to the Machines does not kill familiars. And it should mean we'll see a bit more Visage in the future. But now we get to see TPs around. What are we going to see next? What is the next order of business here? With that diff play, and now looking for possibly a Yasha onto Miracle, he's just going to go straight for Jo. And it's a very rare you see a Vengeful Spirit out right-click at our Ranger, but Miracle going to crush Jo into the floor.
That was actually 4 hits. 4 hits was all it took from Miracle. He blinked, he used Wave of Terror and then blinked in. so that the Blink Dagger from Drow wouldn't be available, and then just went to town. Diffusal Blade, not exactly the highest damaging item in the game, but it's serviceable enough, especially when you have the Vengeance Aura working for you, amplifying through agility. So this Vengeful Spirit's actually hitting quite hard, 200 damage a pop. I would imagine it's about where the Drow Ranger is, especially if you deny her marksmanship bonus. So yeah, this Vengeful Spirit damage is still incredibly high, and well, First Departure, they're making this scaling into the late game work. Ordinarily, this type of team comp wouldn't be able to scale this well into the late game, but hey, not the Visage, Vengeful Spirit doing quite a bit of damage, now going for a Yasha. She's going to stack all of the agility she could possibly get and add a lot more damage to herself and the team.
We do, however, get a Bloodstone now present for Ryo on that Death Prophet, and I'm actually wondering the reasoning behind that, because I was hoping for maybe a Shiva's Guard, a Sheepstick, just so they can fight a bit better, but this can be punished quite heavily. I mean, the Bloodstone, all it will take is a kill or two, and it loses its vast effectiveness quite heavily. But Chrissy, going to be attacking aggressively in that mid lane once again. This Omni Knight knows no limits. He will attack whoever he damn well pleases.
To worry about the Diffusal Blade, though Miracle is over on top lane, who might actually be in a little bit of trouble as Cast is wrapping around. Killing off this Vengeful Spirit is damn hard for a Witch Doctor solo, so he's going to need a lot of support. Familiars have to be there pretty much if they want to get this Vengeful Spirit kill, but she's actually powerful enough so that she could pretty much just go up on top lane by herself and try to go for these kills by herself. She's going to not get any Tinker support, but now she's being surrounded. Cast is going to be thrown. It will not be dodged, but it will bring her out to a safe distance, this blink out. And Vengeful Spirit's still going to be constantly playing games with the enemy side. Everyone is actually just split pushing everywhere. Blink's keeping everyone safe. Travels from the Tinker, trying to apply pressure, but this is pretty much just a giant game of whack-a-mole for both teams, with the Tinker looking to be the hammer and everyone else with Blink Daggers trying to dodge into their holes.
I suppose I can see that. And speaking of Tinker, bam! Dead Witch Doctor. There's very little you can do when KS decides, yes, you're going to die and you have no Omni Knight to protect you.
That's a level 5 Dagon from the Tinker. Again, that is all amplified by the Ancient Seal plus the Natural Order. So damage galore. And now Miracle looking for bottom lane. Royer, I don't think your Bloodstone's really going to help you here. Magic Missile is going to land, and the amplification now from the Elder Titan. Royer's going to get stomped up and Dagon blasted down. Yeah, that's a really dead Death Prophet, and well, how did that Bloodstone work for you? I guess no item could have saved her there, but still, it was pretty easily done for First Departure.
If they can just take a few kills like that onto the Death Prophet, that Bloodstone, it's not going to have any effect on this game, I don't think. And this is just going to help Miracle get more and more in terms of itemization. You got to consider, he's up at 2,100 gold, already has a Yasha, now has bought himself an Ultimate Orb. He's going Manta on that Vengeful Spirit, so his right click is going to be formidable. Hell, it's going to be downright scary, especially when it's backed up by, say, the Visage Familiars. Well, no, sorry, not the Visage Familiars, with the Elder Titan aura, but Visage Familiars is what he's going to go up against. Does have to be careful of that as well as the Omni Knight. If they can get on top of Miracle, they can kill him off. He is by no means invulnerable. There is, of course, Death Ward as well, and slowly but surely Cast is working on an Aghanim. So if he can get that Aghanim's Death Ward down on the ground, that could equally be the thing that turns a fight. But TP's away. KS forcing TP away and home towards Jo. And Jo, again, how does he do right now? He's got himself a Manta, he's got a Morbid Mask, didn't complete the Mask of Madness, and that Blink Dagger. To me, it feels like he's still lacking damage on the Drow Ranger.
And I would agree with you, because if you do the math, Vengeful Spirit is doing, doing pretty much as much damage as the Drow Ranger, and even more so if she manages to get really close and deny that marksmanship bonus. So Jo should be hitting a lot harder than this Vengeful Spirit. At least on paper, normally 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the case. This game, not so much, and Vengeful Spirit also has the minus armor plus damage working for her. Drow Ranger is actually a very easy kill for the Vengeful Spirit to take right now, because Venge is just tankier, she's doing just as much damage, if not more, has more utility, and well, when your Drow Ranger is that vulnerable, it's going to be dangerous. We said in the draft that First Departure don't really have many great heroes to get in the face of Drow Ranger. A blinking Vengeful Spirit and a blinking Tinker is pretty good. It's okay.
But do you really want to blink up close and personal with a Tinker onto a Drow, for example, since Tinker, I suppose he's almost got his E-Blade, and when that E-Blade comes online, that'll be more than enough, I suppose. Blink in, E-Blade, Dagon, laser, rockets, maybe even Drow dead. I'll quickly do some napkin math. Let's see, how much health is Drow? Yeah, Drow's dead. She's only got 1,385 health. Nothing really can survive that combination from Tinker with that amount of health. Not without a BKB, and honestly, a BKB for Drow, it's not going to give her much in the way of damage, and she really just does need some damage.
Yeah, even in the last Roshan fight where the Omni Knight cleaned up, Drow Ranger trying to kill off the Scarif Mage by herself, couldn't do it. Like, Scarif Mage is paper. He has 1 armor, 850 HP, that's nothing. But Drow Ranger was not able to 2-3 shot the Scarif Mage as ordinarily she would be able to at this stage in the game, and that just means she's going to be wasting more and more time. And going for Mask of Madness, it's definitely going to help increase her damage output. It's the most suicidal item you could get in the game. But, you know, when you're going to die anyway, maybe it's a worthwhile item to pick up.
Possibly, yes, but I just feel like it's going to be a very hard choice, considering we both know how hard that Vengeful Spirit is right-clicking away. Let's think you're taking 30% more damage. Are you really going to be able to stand for long? And Miracle does pop his Manta, going to be looking to fight this one. Can he bring anyone down? He's just chipping away at Rio. Going to blink out. The rockets are starting to fly in from KS, as well as the amplification from the Elder Titan still present. Macropire, Ice Bath doing a good amount of damage, but Jo gets caught, slept, buying some time, but KS is on a monster kill, and he is just forking out the damage in spades. They're going to look to bring down Jo. They do have that Guardian Angel buying them some time, but it's only going to give them 9 seconds of time. Now comes that Blink Dagger combo. Down goes Cast. Can they get anyone else? That's a godlike KS. Going to chase for Rio, maybe? No, they're going to turn and try to get Chrissy, but Chrissy blinks into the tree line, and he is home and safe.
That was the most subtly baller move I have ever seen in my life. No joke. Miracle, he used Manta Style and then ran away with an illusion. And then that forced the Drow Ranger to blink after that illusion, expecting that to be the real Vengeful Spirit. And I don't even know if she got the illusion kill or whatever, but she was then put into a position where the rest of First Departure were up to the north because they just teleported in there. Miracle set all of that up because he baited the Drow Ranger away with a single Manta illusion all the while he was firing away. And of course no one's going to hit the illusions, that's just a waste of time. Miracle just blinked out straight afterwards, so that was so perfectly played, like just textbook mind games coming out for Miracle, going to take that fight. Although only a Drow Ranger and a couple of others going to go down, now they're going to have a large force knocking at their front door. This tower is going to take some pretty sizable damage. Swap back onto Chrissy. Miracle in a little bit of a precarious situation. However, Chrissy taking even more damage than he's dealing. He's in fact dealing nothing. He's going to be burned down by the Tinker March. Miracle going to be force staffed out. He will be just fine. And First Departure, I think after that, just should have taken a commanding lead in this game. Yeah, it's very heavily in their favor, especially when they just keep knocking on this front door. Drow Ranger's up, but Omni Knight has no buyback. First Departure, Dafa's not exactly too healthy, but now jump forward from Miracle. Gonna blow up the Death Prophet with the help of KS. Now looking towards Ninja Boogie, or whoever else is unlucky enough to get close to Miracle. He's going to town, everyone in Drow Ranger, firing off a whole slew of arrows, but not doing any damage. Now Cass is going to try to channel off that Death Ward, doing a lot of damage, but the Drow Ranger is going to go down. Ninja Boogie respawning off to the side, will try to kill off Kai. One more right click is all he needs, won't be able to make that happen, as now he's going to be reinitiated upon. He's going to be brought down, KS is going to jump forward. That's going to be the death of the Visage, dead to the Ice Path. That's 4 down for Rave. And First Departure, just off of that top lane fight, are going to take their first set of Raxes, possibly even more, with 30 seconds until the Omni Knight is up. That's really the crucial hero that Rave need, and he's not going to be available. Death Prophet Exorcism, as good as it is, cannot deter this push.
No, it can't. They needed the Omni Knight to survive, but just the decision-making from First Departure. Swap the Omni Knight, isolate him, silence him when he was about to cast. They just obliterated him. There was very, very little Rave could have done to save that or salvage that. They didn't get good bounces with the cast. The Drow just can't put out enough damage to really threaten. And Miracle is just going to town. Look at how much damage Miracle is putting out in this case. That Venge is just chewing everyone to pieces. But now we get that Guardian Angel buying some time. Exorcism comes up from Rio. This could be enough to turn it around. They're going to at least salvage 3 racks total out of the 6 that they had. They need to get some kills. They need to get some form of counter on this one. And Dafa taking a large amount of damage from those ghosts. But Elder Titan now has travels to himself, so he can get back down into this fight if he wants to.
And he probably should want to. They choose Guardian Angel for nothing. They choose Exorcism for nothing. They got literally nobody down there. First Departure, they just need a little bit more sustain, and they could just go right back in for round 2. this game, it looked so even, it looked so close, but all it took was just one play, and First Departure suddenly with a monstrous advantage in their hands.
Indeed, well, when we say monstrous advantage, First Departure, 20,000 gold lead, 25 nearly thousand experience lead, and KS just going ballistic. Beyond godlike Tinker. Try to kill him. I dare you. You'll fail. He just has too much burst damage. Any one hero tries to oppose him, bam, they die. Any two heroes, he'll kill them and blink away. The power of this Tinker in this game has just been the story of the game, in all honesty. What First Departure did, they bought enough time for KS to come online. He's now there in spades. Sure, there were nerfs to Tinker, but these items are just still so strong. And now there's an Aegis, this time going the way of Miracle on that Venge. Miracle, he has been doing wonders. Mid-Venge, you don't think about it, ever. And now he's got a Manta, a Butterfly, a Blink Dagger, and a Diffusal Blade, all backed up by an Aegis. If he really wanted to, he could just go aggressive. He's hitting for well over 300 damage a hit.
And he's hitting very, very quickly as well. Plus the fact that he's gone for such an agility-heavy build means that his illusions are also going to be hitting that hard, all amplified by natural order from the Elder Titan. This First Departure lineup, it looked really janky, and I still maintain that it is, but if they bought enough time, and they have bought enough time to actually make it all work, then it is working out so fantastically. Everyone's doing their job correctly. Like, it's easy to say that Tinker is going to be the flashiest hero, as Tinkers usually are, but everyone else from First Departure, Elder Titan laying down some seriously great stomps. Of course, just being alive in the fights, amplifying so much damage, and the hero throwing out damage left, right, and center. The Yule Scepter, invaluable at interrupting. The Death Wards from the Witch Doctor at the very least. First Departure, they're really just firing off on all cylinders here. Now they're going to slow siege this bottom lane. Wrap around from top lane, Miracle is going to be caving out some buildings very easily. Why not? Like 100 gold a pop, and if you get a magic missile into anyone, they're pretty much dead. Ninja Boogie's Gravekeeper's Cloak is not going to keep him safe from this Vengeful. And First Departure, they're just constantly sieging down this tower. Liquid Fire, once again, coming into play here. Rave, they have to worry about top lane. Now they've got Mikasa jumping onto Jo. There's the Guardian Angel immediately. Jo's actually going to survive the Ethereal Blast as well. It was dodged by the Manta Style. Now the Vengeful Spirit up into the air, taking a lot of damage, but she has an Aegis, so even if she does die, she's not going to be too upset about that. She will survive for a lot longer because the refreshing Ethereal Blades from KS is going to fully evacuate Miracle out of this fight. In the meantime, the rest of the team just going down. The Aegis finally does go down as Exorcism in the back end is pretty much destroying everyone. Miracle now back up. He's going to get Chain Stun, Maledicted as well as the Death Ward. This is going to be everyone for First Departure dead with the exception of the Tinker, and Rave finally take a decent fight. I think it was all because Jo managed to dodge the Ethereal Blade, the first Ethereal Blade blast, which otherwise would have killed him. He stayed alive, gave the damage to the rest of his team, and they cleaned up.
But now you've got the Tinker, who's still the only one still standing, and he can look to fight and keep these lanes pushed out. He can buy more than enough time for his team to all respawn. This is the benefit of the Tinker in this scenario, and still, if you consider what Rave need to do, they need to push up and destroy a tier 2 on any of these lanes before they can even start pressuring for Axe. The mountain is still there for Rave to climb. It is possible right now, but I just don't think it's plausible.
I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult, especially since First Departure. They're going to be respawning, and they could conceivably just chill out and wait for another Roshan. The Aegis wasn't the best for best use for Vengeful Spirit, but getting a kill on the Drow Ranger, that'll do it. Yeah, that was a pretty easy kill. That was her dead, and before she even had enough time to react with the Manta Style.
That is just the threat of this Tinker. As I say, you buy enough time for the Tinker, and the Tinker will make you the hole that you need. Unorthodox lanes, an orthodox style from First Departure, but effective. I like it. I like it a lot.
And now their task is pretty clear. Vengeful Spirit going to respawn, and it's going to be all 5 heroes down in the bottom lane. Slow siege that one. They don't have to commit again. They could have Miracle do the exact same thing. You know, try to wrap around and surprise someone, try to burst them down. But for the most part, it's just going to be Dafa's Liquid Fire, which ordinarily at this point wouldn't be the most relevant skill in the game. At sieging towers, it's always going to be doing that damage. Guardian Angel is going to heal it up somewhat if he decides to use it within the middle of the fight. But this slow siege from First Departure is going to be devastating because top and mid are going to be both pushed just by themselves, not to mention the support that KS is giving to those lanes. So should be a clear close to action. However, KS is going to get thrown up into the air. Silenced as well. Has a sheep stick, but he's going to blow up Visage before he leaves. He's going to hex out Chrissy. Now try to leave. There's the cask, and it looks like KS is going to go down here as cask is going to continuously bounce through. That's a beyond godlike streak going the way of the Omnite. Suddenly he has 2100 gold in his pocket, but Tinker has buyback and he's going to use it. He wants to be a part of this team as they go in for the death push. Royer's going to get force staffed out. BKB is up on him as Jo is going to try to chase down Miracle. He will be successful in tagging him once, but the Mantis Style Illusion will get him out of safety. Now Kai getting hit with the silence. He tries to run away as well. Everyone being chased down as Chrissy going to get stunned up as he does try to deploy the slow of the Degen Aura. Chrissy's going to hit with an Ice Path, as is Royer. Chrissy's going to be brought down by KS, who's still at full HP. Now Royer's going to be the target of focus. He's going to be brought down as well. The Ethereal Blade's constantly refreshing. Omnite forced to buy back. KS going to jump forward. Doesn't have that much mana left, but he will still try to fight this one out. Jo has a BKB up on him, though, rather than repel. Chrissy going to get hexed up. Miracle's still alive, but now the Jaw Ranger damage onto Miracle. Going to try to get close enough to deny his damage. Won't be happening as the Purification does kill off the Vengeful Spirit. Now they're looking for more. Dafa is going to try to hide in the trees and teleport out. The damage is going to not be there. He is going to survive, but once again, it is Tinker to live. Everyone else on First Departure to go down. Maybe First Departure have got to stop doing this. Their answers to BKB, the physical damage, it's not that great. It's only really the Vengeful Spirit who's doing physical.
Well, this is something else to keep in mind. The Tinker did buy back in that fight, so the next death for that Tinker, he's going to be dead for well over 100 seconds. I want to say he'll be dead for 130 seconds. That's going to be a significant amount of time he's offline. So if they can bring down Tinker one more time, if they can wipe First Departure one more time, it is possible that they can turn this one. It's not a complete impossibility by any stretch of the imagination. And all it will take is one good fight. But how can they do it again? They've held their bottom lane of racks twice now. Can they do it one more time, do you think?
It's going to be incredibly difficult. The match community from Rave is really what's making it possible. Tinker suddenly doesn't have any targets once the repels are up on everyone or are up on whoever, and whoever doesn't have a repel on them is most likely going to be in the back. So if Tinker really wants to get them, he probably can, but it's going to be requiring a lot of overextension. Killing off Royer is going to be a fantastic opportunity, though, for First Departure. First shotgun blast, down. Second shotgun blast, dead. Death Prophet, she has a whole lot of survivability. BKB, Fit Booster, even a Soul Booster on her person, but it's not enough to compete up against this Tinker. And this might be a nice large opening for First Departure. Miracle, unfortunately, is very far away, so he can't really contribute that much to this push, but still, 45 seconds, and Rave are going to be fighting 4v5.
Well, a 4v5 fight without the Death Prophet, that's going to be a very hard one to go in, but now comes Chrissy. He has that Blink Dagger, did go aggressively looking for Kai. Blink BKBs are there from Jo as well, starting to chip down at Dafa. The slow aura is there from Chrissy, and now we get the Ion Cannon come forward, though, from the Scarlet Mage. That'll be more than enough to bring down the Omni Knight. Now they're going to look for more for the back of that one. They want to bring down Jo, Mantis, but it's not going to be enough. GG is called, and First Departure take game number 2.
Holy crap. I thought for a second, I thought in the back of my mind that Rave, they could have taken this, but unfortunately losing that Death Prophet there was absolutely disastrous. I don't want to say it was game losing because, quite frankly, they didn't have the biggest of shots in general, but that just sealed the deal, and off of that, First Departure are going to tie up the series 1-1. Mid-Venge, Korjakiro support, Elder Titan, it all came together, and it was extraordinary.
Indeed, I have not seen a game like that in a long time, and this is what we get with the new patch. Unorthodox chaos. And I think that's what we all love about this game.
I think it's also just what you get when Rave and First Departure are playing, very quickly becoming some of my favorite teams. I cover more of them. But that's going to be it, guys. I don't think there's any more games. No, not on this channel. There was supposed to be another one, but it got moved for whatever reason. There is going to be another game. No, there isn't. That got moved as well. Okay, so that's actually it for now, guys. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the cast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting HeflaTV as well as the Mineski Gaming Pro League. If you enjoyed the cast, be sure to hit that follow button. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. It's twitter.com, facebook.com/HeflaTV. The VODs will be up on youtube.com/HeflaMoke soon enough. And yeah, I'm Mike Loris. I've been joined by Mr. Blackadder. You can find us both at Mike Loris, at Mr._Blackadder on Twitter. And yeah, that should be it. Do you have anything else to say, man?
Not much. I'm looking forward to seeing these two teams match up again, though. The MPGL is looking to be one hell of a tournament so far.
Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. We're out for the day. Stick around for a little bit of music, and that should be it. GG.